Welcome to Unleashed with the Patriot Sisters. Buckle up, girl, because we're about to spill that tea just like we did in 1773.
We light the fire under all things politics. And don't worry, social justice warriors, we'll light the fire underneath you too.
Why?
Because we're inclusive.
Prepare to be triggered.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Unleashed with the Patriot Sisters. That is us. Hi.
Hi.
Actually, this is like our first episode.
Official.
Yeah.
Not our first episode, but our first official episode. Because this episode, we're going to get into the meat, grit, dirt, whatever you want to call it today, about the election. And I'm super excited.
Right? We're going to go in, we're going to use the words that like we're scared to use on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other big tech type platforms. And we're going to be talking about, it's bigger than you think. The election, what's going on.
Who do we believe? Is it over? Is there hope for us?
Yeah.
Like, genuinely speaking, is there hope?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest questions we get in DMs and messages. Is there hope? Can we win? And I know a lot of data and states like Pennsylvania and Georgia have declared a winner, of course, Biden. And there's just a lot of doubt happening. So I'm not sure if this episode's going to improve your spirits, but it's going to give you a deeper understanding of what's happening from all angles in regards to the election in this country.
It's a good reality check. So first and foremost, I feel like it's a pretty loaded question, but to simply put the answer of was the election really stolen here in 2020?
The answer is yes.
Yes, it was. However, it's not that easy to say, although in a nutshell it is. But yeah, so we're literally experiencing, like right now, what is today? November 24th. It's almost Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh, we're 1 month away from
Christmas Eve. Oh, that's so cute.
So was it stolen? In a nutshell, absolutely yes. We're experiencing
a coup in the government.
A coup, and yeah, that's exactly.
Did I say coup? That's so funny. Oh, we all know where my brain's at. No, a coup in the government. But first and foremost, we gotta back up a little bit, right? Don't you think? We gotta go through exactly the process and steps of confirming a president. How a president becomes a president, right?
And I think
because that sets up the stage for what we're about to get into.
Well, you would think that in order to declare someone the winner, that these things would have to happen before and when they do. So the whole idea that Biden is the president-elect, no, Biden is falsely declared the potential president-elect. He's not the president-elect until December 14th.
At this point, it's like, Christiana, you're now the president-elect today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be the president-elect. And then when it comes time for Thursday, Thanksgiving, we'll decide who wants to be the president-elect.
Right, who's really the president-elect. So what really happens for a president to become formally the president?
Step one
is that the states have to actually certify the vote. So that means each state, and we saw that happen yesterday and over the weekend with Georgia and Pennsylvania, saying we certify that Biden is indeed the winner, which don't freak out, that's probably going to be overturned, especially in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
So basically, when a state certifies their votes, it's a done deal unless the opposing party or running mate, or not running mate, but other person who's running candidate, it can be overturned if they go through the judicial system, show proof, which is what we're seeing here with the Trump campaign team, with their lawyers and Sidney Powell and et cetera, whatever.
And that's what we see happening. So states have to certify, but even once they do certify,
it doesn't make it a done deal.
Right, it doesn't make it a done deal.
So that's step one. States certify votes. Step two, the electors vote. Finally, like after the states have certified their votes, all the electors come together from each state
on December 14th,
and they have like this big voting sesh where they say, Arkansas, are you good with XYZ person being the winner of your state? And they say yes or no or whatever.
People need to realize the Electoral College actually represents people. So for each Pennsylvania with however many electoral votes they get, that actually represents
the same amount of people. So California, I don't know this for a fact. I think it's like 54, 56, 54.
Something like that.
Somewhere in the low 50s. That means there's actually 50 so people from California who represent, quote unquote, the electors in California. Does that make sense? So they go December 14th.
It might be virtual this year.
Who knows with the whole mess with what's going on. But they go and vote, blah, 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 blah.
So that's
step
to happen. Step 3 is that once that happens, the results have to be ratified, which means confirmed by the House of Representatives. So that actually has to take place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then once all of that's done, technically that's it.
Yeah.
We're adding step number 4. It's not technically a step, but the inauguration has to happen. Yes, a president can take the presidential oath of office behind closed doors, and that actually is what happens as well.
That's what we saw with JFK when his, at the time, VP, when JFK was shot in Dallas, the VP took the oath of office inside the Air Force One jet when they were on the tarmac.
Right.
So we've seen that. That's not an official step, but we threw that in there because that's fun.
It's fun.
It's like a public monument.
Thing. That's like closing the last chapter of the book in this situation, unless you're Trump, and then they come and create a fake thing to come get you impeached. But that's a whole nother story. So what we're really questioning is that we're not just questioning did Biden really win or not, which there's so much evidence that goes against that he actually statistically won for so many different angles. We're questioning the validity of our democracy. And if Biden gets in and this doesn't get rectified and fixed this time around, this will happen again in 2024.
Exactly.
This will happen in midterms. This will be our new America, where you vote, but your vote doesn't actually matter.
Which really means we're no longer America.
No, we're really no different.
You might as well just move over and be like to Cuba, like move over, Cubans. I'm coming in. Us and our 300 plus million population, move over. We're coming in.
Right.
Because at that point, we're no longer a democracy. Oh, but don't worry. We're going to start getting some comments and
some
hate mail, DMs, whatever
emails.
People were being like, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. Oh my gosh. How many times do you got to say this? What do you say?
I think a lot because so many new people come in.
Well, for those that genuinely want to know, I'm always okay with repeating myself. Like,
education is key.
I will do it 1,000,000 times. Okay? Maybe not 1,000,000, but I will do it a lot.
Yeah.
But what do you say when you're doing the Pledge of Allegiance in school? What word do you say? Democracy or republic? You say republic. However, what makes America so, might I add, great, what makes this country so great is that we are a constitutional republic that has adopted a democratic way of electing officials, which means that we, the people, hold the power and we get to vote who we want to be in office.
Which is so powerful. So the democracy is how we vote people in. Once they get into office, we switch over to a constitutional republic. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so amazing, is that if our elected officials through a democratic process are sucky, they're not following the constitutional republic
we can
structure.
Get them out.
We can get them out, and then we go back. So it's a good balance between it all. But at the core, we are a constitutional republic. The Constitution is the highest law of the land.
Yeah.
So that's
it's our rule book. It's our guide.
But the whole rule book, the whole guide
Jesus.
is being thrown out, though.
Exactly. So the moment your right to vote is gone, you should really be raising an eyebrow.
Yeah.
Okay? Because even if not, when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, you no longer can vote November 3rd every 4 years, every 2 years, whatever. I mean more of along the lines of when your vote's not being counted and they're telling you it is, you need to raise an eyebrow because the power is within you, not within your local governor, or not local, but like, I guess local. Yeah, your local officials, your state governor, whatever.
President, everybody in between. And we have this balance between knowing what's happening and knowing that it's bigger than we're being told. Of course, the media, fake news, Fox News, CNN, they're all together.
They're not helping.
But that, and we'll get into that in a moment, but we're having that on top of this, the structuring and the changing of how we vote with these mail-in ballots, which is an open door for it's like literally posting your address on social media, saying you have $100,000 in your house, and opening your door and keeping it unlocked and saying, come find me.
And then that's what mail-in ballots are. Well, then take it a step further. All of a sudden, you go to your banker and you're like, hey, I want to deposit this, and they're like, someone already did that for you and put it in, XYZ account. That's not your account. And you're like, no, that's mine. And I haven't gone into the bank and I haven't deposited my check or whatever, or AKA, I haven't gone and voted, right? Because mail-in ballots are a mess and they're different from absentee ballots. Absentee ballots, there's a way to make sure that you don't vote twice or someone doesn't vote in your place or fill out your bubbles or whatever, because you have to verify it through. There's a whole process.
Right. So having
So mail-in ballots suck.
They're sucky. Mail-in ballots are as susceptible to fraud as much as my analogy of keeping your door open, saying I have $100,000, come get me. Like, of course, some thief is going to come and do it, and it's the same. It's the same. Leaving the door open for fraudulent activity to happen, and that's exactly what's happening. So we have that. We're having censorship that's literally, people, they're genius, and they're disguising it as fact checkers and saying that they're doing it for the good of using on the platform, and Facebook and Instagram and all these social platforms are doing this.
Whatever.
But that's called censorship. Fact checkers are called censorship. We have something in this country called the First Amendment.
Free speech.
Coming back to the Constitution and what it's given us, and it says that we have the ability. I can look at the grass and say, "Yo, that pink is grass," and fully promote it.
That pink is grass.
That grass is pink.
I got you. And on the other end of things, I can look at the grass and be like, dudes, my friends, the grass is green. Now, Christiana, she's like, bro, it's totally pink.
And I can say it's pink, and I can create a whole business promoting how
pink the grass is and how vibrant it is on some days when you put this product in it, and versus, okay, you can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want.
The point of what makes the First Amendment so beautiful is that homegirl over here across from me, Christiana, can say what she wants, even though she's wrong.
Yeah, you have the right to be stupid. You have the right to be wrong.
Not an opinion, but factually she's wrong. I can still be like, okay, you do you, boo. I disagree. But like, I'm still protected as much as you're protected.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. I might disagree with you, but I'm still going to protect the right of your free speech.
And that's the difference. Is that
conservatives need to learn that one.
They do. Conservatives, I will protect a liberal crackhead, literally, because probably most of them are. No, okay, I'll take that back. Not most of them are, but a majority of people have something mentally wrong and radically.
Whether it's physical, spiritual, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Combination.
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it at that. I will protect their right to say whatever. I will protect their right to be able to put a guy in a dress. That's America. You can do whatever the heck you want to do, but I don't have to make it normal for me. I don't have to accept that new normal. This whole idea of new normal, I don't have to accept somebody else's
in the trash.
I don't have to accept somebody else's new normal. And here what we're seeing as conservatives are saying, that's not my new normal. I'm not accepting that. And liberals and the Democrat Party is coming and saying, no, you have to make it your new normal, and we're losing that freedom of choice.
Now let's look at this a little deeper, a little more microscopic.
Okay. We're zooming in.
We're going in, right? Who's controlling this? Is it the government or is it the media? Because if you ask me, it's the media who's controlling the people in this country. The media has...
Which in return controls the government.
Exactly. The media has determined and declared what they deem to be true. Yeah. Okay? And we don't have a state-controlled media. We have a media-controlled state.
And that's
which is even worse.
Well, that's the biggest thing, is that in school we were always taught about how the government takes control of the media and there's propaganda.
News.
No, that's what we're taught, that the government's going to take over the media. And that it's going to be propaganda.
Reversed.
But that happens. That happened in Venezuela and Cuba, but that's not what's happening here.
The government isn't controlling what we're saying. It's the media. It's the big tech.
It's big tech. It's Silicon Valley.
That should be the alarming part.
You know, because it's scary, because then that falls under private property.
Exactly.
Their own platform. They have the choice.
That's the First Amendment, my friends. They can be protected by that. They can create their business and do whatever they want. Free speech, blah, 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 blah. But here's the problem. Here's the fine line people seem to not see, okay? It gets covered up by sand or dirt or whatever. You get my point.
Depends where you live in the country.
Depends where you live in the country. Snow, okay, at this point in time. The line in the sand is getting covered, and when you're not understanding or realizing it, rather, when the line in the sand is getting covered of free speech and who gets the right, who doesn't get the right, usually your right's being compressed. And covered up and hindered, and now, maybe not now, but eventually, if you don't stop it, you will not have that right any longer. And I think that's my concern for conservatives, is that they're not seeing that their free speech is being, hindered right now.
Yeah, and we have these other platforms and news sites like the Right Wing Broadcasting, One American News, Newsmax, Parler, me, we, and we know of a
Maybe so fun to say.
it's
Me.
fun. Of another like Instagram type platform that's hopefully going to be launching soon, and we'll keep you updated when and if that actually happens. So we have these things happening, which is good, but it's sad that we have to come where it's almost like the Berlin Wall is being put up, and there's a Germany,
a new normal trying to be established.
right? But Germany or America's being divided. You have the conservatives and you have the liberal, more progressive way of thinking and believing. And we have this media propaganda that's literally brainwashing a certain group of American people.
Well, let's pause. Can we pause?
Okay.
What is
We're
media?
pausing now because so yes.
What is media propaganda? What does that look like?
I mean, that's the definition of North Korea.
But let's quickly dive into that. What does that look like? Because we can say, oh, that's North Korea, but what is actually happening in North Korea to their citizens?
So North Korea is all the news, all their basically everything given to them is filtered through the government.
What kind of country is it?
A dictatorship.
Okay. What comes before a dictatorship?
Communist.
And before a communist nation, it's a what?
Socialist.
And what's one step beneath a socialist? Which is, right, getting better, because we're not a dictatorship.
Us.
Capitalism. That's America. See, progressive liberals, radical lefts, they want to change this country and turn it into a socialist state. That's Bernie Sanders. He was a crazy socialist dude.
That's
Joe Biden as well.
And I don't think it's Joe Biden.
It's the people behind him.
Yeah, so that's what's happening. And we have this brilliant, I guess, balance between having a freedom and having those liberties, but also having accountability. And we found a great balance. The founding fathers put a great balance. But as social media has come out, and
it's hard.
We have to find that new balance of protecting those companies' rights, but at the same time knowing that they're hindering free speech.
Exactly.
And what that looks like. Yeah, so it's just like when you can't go into a private sector business and where you can go into a private sector business and wear a political affiliation, and they can't remove you for that because it's protected.
I think social media should be the same thing.
It falls underneath the same.
I think it should be.
It should be.
Because why would we discriminate against okay.
It's discrimination.
Post 60s, right? The civil rights movement, what was that, 1964 or something of that sort, close to that time? We no longer have the discrimination inside public entities, okay?
Well, we might give it 5 years.
We might give it 5 years, but we're not supposed to have discrimination against sex, color, religion. There's nationality. Like, there's certain things that we're like, yo, it does not matter. We're humans first. We're people first, and I'm going to serve you. You get a full privilege to having, rights to public accommodation. Yeah. So that's what we do see. But why is that not the same thing for a business online? Why is it different?
Right, and that's a question, and I don't actually know that answer because I'm not well versed in legal law and of tech companies. That's not my forte. So I can't fully accurately speak on that. But and this is something our older sister called at the very beginning of COVID, is when the government and these governors and people were starting to implement these shutdowns and mandates, where they were in some cases going over their legal rights to do certain things.
She called it.
She said what's going to happen is the government's going to start pressuring these private sector businesses
to close,
to enforce things in their corporate policy, and that's what that's what we see happening with like Costco. You have to wear something. Which, by the way, we got into Costco without wearing a mask, even with their new things.
Stay tuned for our next episode because we'll go into our Costco story time. Next episode. But yeah, no, exactly. That's what's happening, and that's when it starts getting scary because the government's like, hands off. We're not going to enforce it. We're going to have the private sector businesses enforce it. So then you as the people get no more say in the matter.
Because private businesses are protected.
Exactly.
So I feel like, and I have no necessarily evidence. Well, actually I do, but proof for this specific example of back business, handshakes happening between the government
for sure
and the businesses. But that's easily what's happening is they're putting pressure on private business and corporations to require certain things.
Yeah.
Because they can pull the private business thing. So
and that's so messed up. Honestly, that's annoying.
And the scary thing is that we're literally losing the #1 freedom this country has, which is the First Amendment. It's the freedom of speech, of religion, assembly,
press, petition.
and petition. Those five freedoms under the First Amendment. And freedom of speech, we've lost that in a lot of ways. Freedom of religion, you can't assemble. We've lost assemble and religion.
You can go to the strip club, but you can't go to church.
Thanks, Governor Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this weird balance where you're losing those freedoms. You're losing the freedom of press, which, in a way, we're all, like, these social media platforms who are conservative platforms, and they are literally news.
It's the freedom of press. That is the press.
That is the press.
And they're losing their freedom.
And freedom of petition, I mean, you can have that if you're Antifa and you can assemble and do that.
You can't be a peaceful conservative group
without getting hate.
Protesting. That does not exist.
Yeah.
Because
only if you're Black Lives Matter can you protest. Yes. So in conclusion, we're in a battle for this country. We're literally, yes, we're keeping the control of government at bay, but it's always finding the balance between these monopolies, big tech companies,
and small business owners and whatever.
And the government.
And it's these companies that are literally controlling the everyday life of you and I. That's like the crazy part. And I guess technically in the end, that is the government suppressing us, because who's the one whispering into these private sector's ears? It's the government.
The same thing we saw happen and people get upset and annoyed with us when we compare America to Nazi Germany or China or communist China.
You can compare the Nazi Germany, beginning Nazi Germany, to what's currently happening in America. Like, you can compare the back of your two own hands. It's that similar. And the crazy thing to me, Christiana, is that nobody can tell the difference. And that's they don't want to, and they can't, or they don't want to. And the crazy thing to me is when I see that happening, because I do see it happening when we go out and we create our videos, the We the People films, right? Mm-hmm. The crazy thing is nobody sees it. And then I realize this is what my history teachers have been telling me for years and years and years. History repeats itself.
Maybe we need to do another video on here or a podcast or IGTV breaking down the similarities between, all these other horrible countries and their dictatorships and communist powers.
We'll see.
So what we're happening, and this is part of the reason why we decided to do a podcast, one, so we could chat a little bit longer and not be forced to keep it under a certain time frame.
You can go for a workout, a jog,
car ride, if you're allowed to go anywhere.
And you can also enjoy this chat with us together. So that's, I just want to remind you guys, if you're an American, which if you're listening to this, you probably are, if not, still take this close to heart and try to, incorporate it into your own country's history. But as Americans, you and I, literally, like DNA-wise, I'm not talking metaphorically or, it feels good to say. No, I'm talking like in the blood, okay? Your DNA, RNA is the same how do I say this? We are the sons and daughters of the 1776 spirit, the revolutionists, the loyalists versus the patriots. If your family
has been here this long.
Right.
You have that in
or even not, even if you or an immigrant that came over and your parents came over,
you still have that same spirit.
You have the spirit, but if your mom came over, met an American guy, had you, boom, that's in your DNA.
But even if not, even willing to come over to America, it takes guts.
That's the American spirit. So that is in you. Do not let someone suppress it. That is what loyalists did to the Patriots, and we all know who won. We all know who threw the tea in the harbor in 1773 in Boston. All right, it was the Patriots. It was the people that loved this country and never, ever, ever wanted another government to suppress them again. And this is what's happening. 2020 is a duplicate of 1776. Is a duplicate of 1940.
Pre-1776.
Right.
Before they
the battle is what we're seeing again. Now it's a little more online. I'm going to say thank God because it wasn't pretty back then. But that spirit's still in you, and don't let it ever die out. Ever. So. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
You done?
I'm done.
No, I mean, and we have to find that balance, and we have to continue rising up, standing tall, and fighting back with truth. Because if we don't, who will? I mean, we can stand up and we can do all these things, but if nobody does it with us, it's only going to go so far. But we're going to keep trying.
Can I just add this real fast? So I just got a text from my grandfather. You're actually in it, Christiana, with my other sisters. He goes, "Hi ladies, question. Is church-sponsored potluck meal a socialist activity?" I love, he's being funny. I love it. I love
It's
it.
probably a debate between him and Mama. And trying
Our
to figure that out.
grandmother. Oh, so funny. Anyway, that's it for today, y'all.
Thank you guys so much for listening. It really means a lot, and we're super excited to continue doing this and getting to chat with you. Let us know. Go to our Instagram at unleashed.podcast to let us know where you are listening from and any similarities you
Two.
What?
So you're listening to podcast number 2.
Oh yeah, comment the number 2. Let us know. Anyways, you guys are amazing. We're also on Parler, so check us out at the Patriot Sisters as well as
YouTube. The Patriot Sisters.
Also, for those watching on YouTube, Izzy is wearing one of our merch, America First. This is actually one of our number one sellers.
Slouchy tee.
Women's.
No, not tee. It's a slouchy
Sweatshirt.
Women's. Super comfortable. You can't really see it in the video, but it's like fuzzy inside.
It's perfect for these cold weather,
like
rainy days like today. You can get that at thepatriotsisters.org/shop. And while you're on there, go ahead and sign up for our email list because that's where we announce new episodes first.
Special
new
merch.
Any new fun announcements. And also, we like to get off of tech companies and their platforms and be able to have a way to connect with you outside of that.
If you know what we mean.
Know what we mean. That way, if anything, God forbid, ever happens,
you and I are still connected, and that's what matters because we're in it to win it.
That is it.
And what is that High School Musical?
Because
in it to win it. Dun, dun,
no, that's not High School Musical.
Yeah. What is it? That's not High School Musical.
Let's bring it. Well, what was it? Oh,
Bring It On?
Bring It On?
No, I think it's... I don't know, y'all. I don't know.
Again, back to... I don't remember.
Anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. Once again, this is Unleashed with the Patriot Sisters. That's me.
And her. Or me.
Wow. Thanks for watching. And, of course, we'll see you in the next one.